just wanted to make a short roundup of, among the participants and ask you how was your summer, and I want to do it in a kind of a way where you can. Normally we always ask people to put the star where they are at the moment. You could of course do that, but this time you can actually answer this question and the statement on the top. The summer was warmer than usual. Have a look on your menu or the drawing tools on top of this screen. You see there is a star, but on the right hand side of the star there's a little drop down menu, and you can choose also other symbols. You can choose star, check, X or laugh. So please take your time and answer the question by placing a check or X on the place where you are now and answer this question: was the summer for you warmer than usual or not? As expected. At least it seems to me that somehow here the summer was warmer than usual, whereas here, maybe also here, the summer was colder as usual. Somehow it fits to my the way I was looking at the weather during this summer. We had a continuous westerly winds in this area. In Finland it was rather, there were no hot days at all. And so also in Germany, somehow the Germany was also split in two parts. The northern part was so colder than usual, and the southern part was rather warm. Another question, thank you for the answers so far. The summer was dry. Answer yes or no. I hope you find your X and yes. So thanks, this is exactly as I expected. It was nice to, and also it's nice to see that where all the people are now today coming from. We have a nice coverage of whole Europe. Cornel is saying that it was really dry in Hungary. So back to this morning and today's weather. I have made a few animations. They may take up a little time to load, but there's no hurry. This first animation is just a simple one. 4 recent ePort images, so this is from yesterday afternoon until this morning. 300 hectopascal height, infrared image, and we can see what's going on in the weather right now. People have already been using on the text chat that there's a lot of rain at the moment here in this part of Europe. Nice wavy front there, deepening upper trough. You see how this trough is almost like cutting off soon, the upper level trough here. Very strong development over there. We have a nice upper level ridge here, bringing nice warm air to the British Isles. So I guess the participants from Wales and England, they are probably enjoying a rather nice day today. Whereas in northern part of the British Isles, Scotland, rainy, I suppose rainy again. So for me this represents more like a normal September autumn weather map again. The autumn is drawing in. At least in the northern parts of Scandinavia it's already pretty much autumn. Even some cold nights have there already been. Let's try to make an animation of the radar. This may take even longer. If you see it, you see that the nice fronts in the eastern part of Europe is now extending throughout towards the north. Almost stationary, prolonged rain. Cornel was mentioning that the Hungary is split in two parts. Eastern parts almost 30 degrees, western part barely over 10. The Scotland rain is already there, you see it coming. Let's try to make an animation of the high resolution visible image of today. And you see the extended frontal clouds here. Beautiful. Also the frontal clouds over Scotland, clearly they are coming up as the sun rises. The clouds over France, as you see, they are much more shallow. That's the precipitation seems not to be that intensive. So let's go to the surface and have a final short animation. This is now the mean sea level pressure from yesterday afternoon till this morning. And you see these nice developments over the northern parts of Atlantic, deeper low towards the Iceland, nice front over the British Isles, this minor low here. It doesn't look like very intensive, but when you remember the upper level disturbance on the 300 hectopascal level, you see that this is the system of today that will be the most intensive and most interesting. So let's take a look on the warnings. What are the warnings today? This is meteor alarm for today. We see some red there. Ivan is at least from Croatia. Is anybody else from this region now joining in the briefing? Maybe Ivan, you can tell us how does the sky look like now in Zagreb?
Yes, thank you. As after a long time we have gray skies, which is good for us now, because through the whole summer it was quite sunny and without any drop of rain. So now we are quite happy about it, but still. In some parts there is too much rain. For example, in Rijeka, it's the northern part of Croatia. This night we had like 150 millimeters of rain. So and the Bora wind is quite high today and tomorrow. So for some people it's not so good thing, but overall it's a change and we're quite happy about it. So
Thanks, Ivan, and was happy to hear that. It's somehow funny that you have such a dry summer, and then when it rains like a downpour. There's no smooth alternative in between.
yes, and it's for at least for the crops, it's too late. We were waiting for it the whole summer, and now it's like just cosmetics at the end.
Oh yeah, well that's too bad. There's also the Estofx forecast for this morning. You see there are even some red warnings today. The warning number 2 was extended over the western coast of, the eastern coast of the Adriatic Sea, over the Albania, parts of Greece, Croatia, and mostly because of the excessive rainfall. So they expect rather huge amounts of precipitation today. We will talk about the convection and the unstable part of the weather a bit later. Still, I would like to just start from the upper level dynamics once again. We saw already this 300 hectopascal height plus the infrared image showing that this deep upper level trough is the culprit for this moisture conveyor belt coming from the south and extending towards north, bringing a lot of unstable and humid air. And when it meets the coast of the Adriatic Sea, maybe also the orographic effects will play a big role here today to bring that much of precipitation in the area. On the PVA field, this is just to show you the positive vorticity advection for this flow. There was not actually too much of any PVA, at least associated with this area here, at least for the 006 UTC. The biggest PVA was for the area where we had the deepest trough. Some PVA over here, but that's just the normal frontal development. Water vapor image was particularly beautiful today, and you can see this intense contrast between the black tones and the white tones. So we see this moisture region, moisture flow really nicely now today, coming from the southwest going to the northeast, and then the curvature of the drier stratospheric air protruding into the cyclone center here. So that's gonna develop pretty much, at least for me, it looks like a developing thing, and we see these bulges in the front, showing the wavy formation of the front and how it will develop. We also, I took a look on the water vapor pseudo image as well, and just by swapping these two ones, it was particularly good agreement today with the ECMWF simulated water vapor image and the real water vapor image. I didn't find more or less any discrepancies there, as you can see. So that's good news for the model. Air mass image, the same thing, but even better. You can see this brownish tones again, showing the dry air coming from the north and curving and curling into the cyclone center here over Italy and Croatia. Some also nice dry features over here, but the cyclone center in the Iceland is somewhere around here at the moment, and it should not develop too much any longer, but it's gonna still affect the weather quite pretty much in the northern parts of Europe during the weekend. Advection of temperature advection on the 700 hectopascal, the usual changing of warm advection, cold advection, warm advection, cold advection. Often we see this, and very high value. So there's a lot of advection taking place here. Typical autumn-like image to me, at least. Does anybody have any comments on this picture here, or something to ask? There's a lot of contours. May take a while for you to see what's what, but the red color stands for the warm advection and blue color stands for the cold advection. Somehow funny is this thing over here. I didn't really have time to analyze this part too much, but there's a cold advection in somehow in front, and then there's some warm advection at the rear. Maybe some vertical cross section would have helped in this, unless somebody has a good explanation for this order. I see Andreas has his hand up, so please, Andreas, go ahead.
Hello, Weser. Yes, I analyzed this morning as a detached warm front, but this was only a first guess. And in your visible infrared combination, I saw that it was mainly low clouds. So I'm not so sure anymore. Yes, exactly, because it's yellow and not whitish. So for a warm front, I would rather expect higher clouds than low yellow clouds.
True. Yeah.
So I'm not so sure with my analysis this morning.
I'm coming to your analysis after three pictures. We will see your analysis and maybe have a more discussion on that. The TFP, that's the thermal front parameter. So this is to show where the fronts should be. So we see this usual confront here. And the wave, perhaps. We see this long front nicely represented in the model fields as well. We see the air mass boundary and the front over here as well. I think north of this there is a much colder, and then we have this rather sharp boundary over Russia. But yeah, over France, just a minor indications of front there. So it's very shallow feature or something else. Let's have a look on the satrap. So Andreas, this is your satrap image, and yeah, you mentioned that you analyze it as a detached warm front. We see the warm front band over here. Cold front was in cold advection, so that means the cold advection is already overrunning the cold front, and normally this means is the cold front is no longer too much active. We see also in the very west the CB clusters. That's the rather extensive upper level low we saw there, and that's more or less these are the convection taking place inside this upper level low.